Hello, a very fantastic Tuesday morning to viewers of SARARIGHTS TV. Wherever you could be, I would say thank you so much for being part of the biggest TV in Arua City. Of course, it's a Tuesday morning right here, whereby we shall be giving you exclusive sports bulletin here. Of course, my name is Senior Geroh, the presenter in the city. Of course, we shall be discussing a number of sporting stories developing as far as the day is concerned. But the biggest one is on the football final, electing a new fans actually president, and who the person is, I will be telling you. And then Liverpool target Diomate prefers the move to Paris Saint-Germain. And then Hurricane to sign a new contract at Bayern Munich. And then at Manchester City, they have put up to 5 players on sale. Who are the players? These are some of the stories that we shall be discussing with you in length. Of course, my name is Senior Geroh, the host of this. So let's begin from home and we talk local sports before we go for some of those international stories in there. Of course, local sports is our priority here in SARARIGHTS TV. Of course, let's begin from one and we talk about Ondo Praka's story. The big one. Of course, Ondo Praka Club was already declared Angwanda well born as the new fans president. That's something that the Ondo Praka fanatics has been crying so much for a number of days, and Angwanda is finally now the new fans president of the club. Of course, this comes through after the fans having a vote in that perspective. Now, when you look at the number of people who contested for the fans president in that perspective, we did see Angwanda Wellborn being one of them. We did see Henry Kizito being one of them. Then we had Omola Dennis was also amongst the contenders for the fans president at the Football Club. But out of the three, Angwanda Wellborn has been declared the winner of the fans president for the Football Club in the next term. That's very good. Now, let me break you down the real percentage and the talent positions of Wellborn Angwanda. Angwanda got 131 votes. Of course, he was declared to be the winner of the fans president for the Football Club. Then he has been closely followed by Henry Kizito Ayetre. Ayetre got 44 votes, which is equivalent to 21.7%. And then Mola Dennis got only 26 votes, which is equivalent to 12.8%. Now, what does this kind of setup mean for the Football Club? We have seen on the Football Club in the recent times being declared as a community-based club. We have seen the Ondupraka fans being so chaotic. We have seen Ondupraka fans demanding a lot. We have seen the Ondupraka hierarchy giving the club to the fans. Now, what is the role of the fans president? What is the role that the fans have to play in ensuring that his work becomes very easy for him? What is his priorities for the Football Club? These are some of the things that we'll be discussing with you. But when you look at Angwanda Wellborn, I think it's high time that he needs to come into light, into direct contact with the fans, into direct contact with the club hierarchy, to see that issues to do with club management goes smoothly, issues to do with players' welfare goes smoothly, issues to do with hooliganism is a kind of address at the club. Now, what kind of people is Angwanda Wellborn supposed to work with? Of course, he needs to have his executive as the fans president. Of course, the Ondupraka hierarchy as the club has got his actual executives to work with, and then the fans president has to coordinate with the hierarchy, with the board of the Football Club. Now, Angwanda as the board of his own has to do a lot in there. One of the things is he's supposed to have actually a kind of leadership that he will be working with, a kind of charter that he will be working with. He needs to have his executive as the fans president. That's Angwanda Wellborn for you. Can he get that? Can he actually look into that in a very, very stellar form? Of course, in the recent time, they've seen the Football Club suffering a lot, going into the fans, lobbying for money from the fans, and the fans have been leaving to the building, and the fans have been contributing to this club. Now, he needs to have actually his fans treasurer. He needs to have his secretary. As a fan, they need to have a bank account for them to see that the issues to do with accountability are kind of addressed. Now, the issue of transparency needs to come here. What kind of president are fans expecting? What kind of work is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to be someone who is just looking at himself? Is he someone who wants to see that this club grows? But I think the main role of having a fans leadership is to see that Ontupaka goes into some extent, not that this club stops here. So, Angwande Wellborn has a huge duty to perform to see that this club doesn't go back to what happened previous seasons. We have seen the Ontupaka club struggle financially. We have seen the Ontupaka club grappling with issues to do with hooliganism. Ontupaka club being penalized. That's because of the hooligan kind of act that fans are having at the club. Now we have got a new fans president in the name of Angwande Wellborn. Can he try to address some of the talent that the fans have been posing to this club, the threats that the fans have been posing to this club? With a number of times this club has been fined by FIFA, can he be important to address fans in a very stellar way to see that fans doesn't have bad behavior to this club, fans doesn't cause hooliganism, fans doesn't have issues to do with affecting the hierarchy? You see, Ontupaka is a team. This is a community club. We need to have one of the biggest clubs in the region. I should say one of the biggest clubs in the region. Now we need to have that kind of connection from the fans to the board, and then from the board to the fans has to be there. So Angwande Wellborn has a huge tax in that way. But I think now with a number of derbies coming into West Nile region, of course we'll be having 4 teams playing in the West Nile Football Big League. In the Football Big League next season. Of course, Ontupaka will be one of the teams playing in the Big League. Calvary will be playing the Big League. The Blackens will be playing the Big League. Then we'll be having Pakwats Youngsters equal in the Big League. Now, what does this one mean? See, there's one thing that I think Wellborn will be having to do into that team of Ontupaka. One of them is issues to do with the kind of player that the fans want. Of course, as a fan, you need to have your targets. What is the target that the fans are having for the team? Do the fans want to see this team going into the Southern Ghana Premier League, or the fans want this team to be at the big league level again and again? Now, if Angwande can be important to have that target in his mind before, then the kind of contribution that they will be giving to this club, that the fans will be having, is going to be one of the beautiful things that I think can be of a great importance to this club. If Angwande can be important to have that kind of setup with the board that he'll be working with as the fans president now, giving the feedback of what they have discussed with the executive that he's having as the crowd, as the fans president, not to the hierarchy of Ontupaka club. Now coming with the budget that this is the amount of money that we're giving to you to support you with the kind of player that we need. Of course, fans plays a very big role in some of the signings now nowadays, even internationally. We have seen fans contributing. We have seen fans demanding that we need that kind of player. So, can Angwande be important to work hand in hand with the fans of the club that we want so and so to come and play for this team? Of course, he's a big player with big ego. He's a player who has got the heart of playing for the team. Even sometimes the fans can be important to pay these players. Other than Ontupaka suffering alone to pay these players their wages, fans can be important to actually pick some roles and perhaps pay some of these players. That is something that I think, if addressed well, we could be seeing something good coming in the new era that Angwande Wellborn would be coming in that actual role at Ontupaka as the new fans president. This story was revealed by Ndobo Sports, of course, one of the most authentic papers we do have got in West Nile, revealing us a number of stories regarding local sports. I would like to thank you so much, the CEO of Ndobo Sports, the writers Ndobo Sports, Papito, David and Lovely. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for giving us that actual platform of getting actual local news in that perspective. Games were played yesterday in the World Cup in the round of 32. So in that perspective, we did see Brazil coming from a goal down to beat Japan by 2-1. And of course, we did see Casemiro, not forgetting Martinelli, also scoring that actual last-minute goal for Brazil to see that the team seal a 2-1 win over Japan yesterday. Of course, this game was played. It was one of the most entertaining games. But I can tell you, that team of Japan was really very solid at the back. The team was very solid. The team said discipline. The team was playing their best, but one of the biggest challenges the team had was a little bit staying defensively strong. Of course, Japan took the lead in the first half, but when it raced into the 60th minute, there, that's when Casemiro popped in with the equalizer with Brazil before Martinelli in the 96th minute coming with that last minute kick to see that Brazil seal the win. But it was the end error, in my own view, from the technical team of Japan. They went with that defensive mind kind of setup, not knowing that Team Brazil has got big impact players on the bench. Martinelli is one of them. He's one of the big players who can come in, probably change for everything in the game. Those are some of the things that happened in that game yesterday. Then we did see 4-time World Cup winners, that's Germany, been eliminated by Paraguay. Of course, in the full-time minutes, we did see the game ending 1-1. Even up to the extra time, the game ended 1-1. Then Paraguay had to beat 4-time World Cup winner Germany in penalty. Paraguay won it by 4-3. And then Netherlands equal were eliminated by the African winners. I'm talking about Morocco. Of course, 90 minutes ended 1-1. Even up to the extra time, it still went into 1-1 square. And then Morocco had to beat Netherlands by 3-2. That was one of the games that were played yesterday. So far, we have seen Morocco going through into the round of 16, Brazil going through into the round of 16. Now, the number of games will be equal coming in the round of the two today, which will be Ivory Coast that will be in the 10 in Norway. This game will be played at 8 p.m. Then we will be in France that will be playing against Sweden. In that perspective, so let's first move into and talk about transfer stories that are making headlines in the world of transfers. Of course, Liverpool target Jan Damete from RB Leipzig says he prefers a move to Paris Saint-Germain than coming to Liverpool. Of course, Liverpool have been one of the teams that have been tracking the services of Jan Damete from RB Leipzig. Of course, it was reported that Liverpool submitted their first bid for this guy in a fee of around £69 million, with £17 million on add-ons. But Team RB Leipzig rejected the move and said that that money is not actually what they are demanding for the services of Jan Damete. Now, RB Leipzig are saying that if any club wants the services of Jan Damete, the fantastic player who plays for Ivory Coast, the team has to pay a fee of around £129 million for his services. Of course, Jan Damete joined the RB Leipzig from Leganes, from Spanish La Liga. Then, by the time when Team RB Leipzig signed him from Leganes, from Spanish La Liga, he signed a 5-year contract with the RB Leipzig. And RB Leipzig are saying that they are not in a rush way to see that this guy goes. They are not in pressure or financial challenges. They have the money. So if you want the services of Jan Damete, you have to pay what they want. Of course, they are saying that they want a fee of around £129 million for the services of Jan Damete. So now Paris Saint-Germain, through their club owners, through their chief of signing players, through Luis Enrique, of course, club chairman Nasiri, not forgetting their sporting advisor, that's Luis Campos, not forgetting Luis Enrique. They are saying that they are ready to sign 102 high-profile players to see that they boost this team of Paris Saint-Germain. Of course, Paris Saint-Germain were the second team that won the Champions League for two successive seasons. and also winning the France League One also successfully. So they are saying that they wanted to add 2 more profile players into the books. One of the players that they have identified is Jan Diamate from RB Leipzig. Of course, Jan Diamate is a fantastic player. He is having good times with RB Leipzig. He is having good times with Ivory Coast in the World Cup. He is one of the most highly rated players in actually in the transfer market. We have seen a number of teams talking about his services. Paris Saint-Germain is one of them. Liverpool is one of them. Real Madrid has been talking about his services. Even Arsenal at some point have been talked about his services. Now, RB Leipzig is saying that if any club is interested in his service, the club has to pay what they want. So it's all still remains to be seen whether this can be important to happen. So the other team, Paris Saint-Germain, is saying that they want the services of Jan Diamate badly, but they are going to be selling some of their key players. One of them is a death striker, that's Gonçalo Ramos, the Portuguese international. They are saying that they are going to be selling him away. Of course, AC Milan, he's actually the longest admirers of his services, so he is expected to join AC Milan. That's Gonçalo Ramos for you. Now, if he goes in, no, this money that team AC Milan will be playing for the services of Gonçalo Ramos, which is around 63 million pounds. They are saying that they will be using part of that money to sign Jan Diamate from RB Leipzig. Very good actually move in there. So Team Paris Saint-Germain are also interested in selling a number of their players. One of them is their midfielder in the name of Li Chang, the Chinese international. They are saying that they are going to be parting ways with him, not forgetting the France international in the name of Randall Colomwani. He's also expected to leave that team of Paris Saint-Germain. Now, with Liverpool also tracking the services of the forward in the names of Bradley Barcola, it all remains to be seen whether Liverpool can be important to sign Bradley Barcola from Paris Saint-Germain. Now, Paris Saint-Germain also saying that they wanted to actually tie Bradley Barcola into a new contract. So it is a hard hassle for Liverpool to sign Bradley Barcola from Paris Saint-Germain. But Paris Saint-Germain are saying that they are going to be balanced their books. They are going to be relieving some of their players that I think they are surplus to requirement for them. So they wanted to balance their books and probably add some money to see that they sign Jan Diamate. Of course, Jan Diamate has already said yes to Paris Saint-Germain already. So there are reports saying that Paris Saint-Germain are expected to finalize this deal in the coming weeks. So let's see what will be happening in that perspective. But Jan Diamate have already said that he wants to play for Paris Saint-Germain, whereby there's a lot of money, whereby he'll be having good times with the likes of Osman Dembele, the likes of the likes of Duez of this world, the Caravasilias of this world. He'll be having good times in that team of Paris Saint-Germain. I'm telling you, Paris Saint-Germain looks to be a little bit organized. They look to be a little bit ambitious in every step that they take in. We shall be seeing what will be happening in that perspective. So Liverpool have already signed one player already in the name of Victor Munez from Osasuna for a fee of around 34.5 million pounds already. So he is the first arrival at Anfield under Antonio Iriola. Of course, Liverpool is under transition. Of course, Jan Diamate is aware that Liverpool is going to be under transition. Things are not going to be fine for them. That is the reason as why he prefers the move to Paris Saint-Germain. Of course, Liverpool said that they wanted to use him to come and play at the left hand side of the pitch, whereby he will be coming into play as a direct replacement for Mohamed Salah. Of course, Salah has already confirmed that he will be leaving Liverpool. So Jan Diamate prefers playing on the right hand side of the pitch, not on the left hand side of the pitch. And the money that the PSG is also offering for him is huge than what Liverpool is offering. So those are some of the factors that are saying that this guy wants to play for this team of Paris Saint-Germain, not Liverpool, in that perspective. So in some of the stories making headlines in the transfer market this morning, England captain Harry Kane, 32, we signed a new contract at Bayern Munich. Of course, Vincent Company has already convinced this guy to sign a new contract at Bayern Munich. Of course, last season he won for them the German Cup. He had been one of the top scorers in the German Bundesliga. That Harry Kane for you. Ever since he made that switch from Tottenham Hotspur to Bayern Munich, Harry Kane has enjoyed himself. Harry Kane has not started the winning trophy that he never won at Spurs. He is now one of the biggest players to talk about already in the German Bundesliga. Even for the English national team, he's actually doing to the building. That's Harry Kane for you. But I think at his age, playing for Bayern Munich is one of the biggest things for him. Of course, German Bundesliga is not all that physical like the English Premier League. It's not like the Italian Serie A. Harry Kane can be important to score more goals even still there. He can even still be important to play for 2 more years in the team of Bayern Munich. So, Bayern are saying that they're going to be signing, they're going to be actually extending his contract. So Harry Kane is going to be adding a number of years in that team of Bayern Munich. Of course, a number of teams were tracking his services, including Barcelona. But Bayern have confirmed that Harry Kane will be having a new contract with them. Of course, Harry Kane will never be leaving Bayern Munich. Of course, he's going to be signing a new contract at Bayern. We don't know how much that he will be getting that contract, or we don't know how much year that he will be signing that contract yet, but Bayern have already confirmed that Harry Kane will be signing a new contract with them in the German Bundesliga. Of course, the appointment of Enzo Maresca as the Manchester City boss could lead to a major rebuild with England fullback Rico Lewis, 21, and Netherlands defender Nathan Ake, 31, and Spanish midfielder Nico Gonzalez, not forgetting Luis Diaz, 29, not forgetting the Brazil winger Silvino, 22, all potential up for sale. Now, Team Manchester City have put up to 5 players on sale. One of them is Rico Lewis, Nathan Ake, Nico Gonzalez, Ruben Diaz, and then we have Silvino. All these players that Manchester City are saying that they are going to be up for sale after the appointment of Enzo Maresca as the successor for Pep Guardiola at Etihad Stadium. Is this really a good move for Enzo Maresca? You have just come in, you just knew matches he has been there at the club before, but he had been actually under someone. He had been in the second fiddle to Pep Guardiola. Now he has got the authority. Now he is now the head coach of Manchester City. Now he has already put up to 5 players already, or actually up for sale already. You are demoralizing the whole squad. You should have come in, probably stay with these players, understand them, probably play for them half a season before coming up with such kind of resolutions. This is, in my own view, a rash move for Enzo Maresca. You can't build a team with that kind of statement that you don't want this kind of players in your team. We did see the impact of Silvino. We did see the impact of Ruben Diaz. We did see the impact of Luis Rico under Pep Guardiola for Manchester City. You're saying that these players are useless for you. Enzo Maresca, are you good to go with this team of Manchester City in the next 2 years that you have signed in? This is going to be one of the biggest things for Enzo Maresca. Of course, he has already signed up one of the darlings already at that team that he preferred in the names of Elliot Anderson from Team Nottingham Forest already for a British record of around £130 million. Now you're saying that you don't want these players, and yet you are supposed to come in and probably have a rebuilding process, a team that is going to be under transition. You can't pick from where Pep Guardiola left. You need to come with your own plans. You need to come with your own philosophy. Will Manchester City be important to give him the money that in the case all these 5 players leave Manchester City at a go? Will Manchester City be important to give him the money to sign some of the players that he wants? These players that he's Enzo Maresca said that he doesn't want them at Manchester City. These are good players, though Age just kind of caught up with one of them in the name of Nathan Ake. Yes, the Belgium defender the Swedish defender cannot be one of the players that you could rely on actually in the Premier League for a number of seasons now. But I can tell you, he still have got that actual impact for Manchester City. He is a big player. He has got the experience of the Premier League already. He can be important to command the dressing room. He can be important to actually improve the defense of Manchester City. This is going to be one of the biggest things for Enzo Maresca. But allowing some of your senior players leave, coming with the new players actually into the box is going to be one of the challenges for him. Of course, Enzo Maresca needed to be technical enough when releasing some of these players. These are players who have been there at Manchester City. They have understood the atmosphere at Manchester City already. They have understood who Manchester City are. They have understood the plans of Manchester City. Why is Enzo Maresca saying that he doesn't want these players? this is going to be one of the factors which is going to be costing his job at Manchester City. Trying to disorganize the dressing room, trying to disorganize the players is going to be one of the factors which I think is going to be actually affect his performance for Manchester City. So if that's the way that he's trying to run Manchester City, definitely Enzo Maresca is not going to be leaving to the building at Manchester City, in my own view. Of course, Manchester City are also ready to hijack Tottenham Hotspur's actual move for Newcastle United and Italy midfielder, that's Sandro Tonali from Newcastle United. Despite having already signed the 23-year-old English midfielder, that's Elliot Anderson. I told you this about already. So they're also ready to go toe-to-toe with Spurs for the services of Sandro Tonali. So we are waiting to see whether this can be important to happen. About that, of course, Tottenham Hotspur are saying that they are also interested in the services of Sandro Tonali, but Newcastle United are saying that they wanted a huge amount of money for the services of Sandro Tonali, around £80 million for the services of Sandro Tonali. Of course, Newcastle have already sold a player in the names of Anthony Gordon to Bayern Munich already. So they are also willing to sell this guy in the names of Sandro Tonali, but they are saying that they wanted a huge amount of money for his services. So we are waiting to see whether this can be important to happen. Of course, AC Milan are ready to bid for Manchester United and England midfielder in the names of Mason Mount, 27. They are saying that they are willing to give £21.5 million for the services of the Manchester United midfielder. But when you look at this player in the names of Mason Mount, he is one of the priorities that Ruben Amorim actually preferred at Manchester United when he was still the headquarters of Manchester United. Now, Ruben Amorim is really at AC Milan. He is saying that he wants Mason Mount into that team of AC Milan. Of course, Ruben Amorim loves Mason Mount just because of his work rate, just because of his actual performance. Mason Mount is one of the hard-working players. He is a box-to-box midfielder. When you have Mason Mount in your team, I'm telling you, he's a good player. But his challenge has been the injuries actually crisis that he has been going through. Ever since he made that switch from Chelsea to Manchester United, Mason Mount has been one of the players who has been at that sick bed of Manchester United game in, game out. So, can AC Milan be important to have good time to actually with him? Of course, we have seen how physical the Italian Serie A is. So, Mason Mount is being monitored by Ruben Amorim, and Ruben Amorim is one of the biggest admirers of Mason Mount. So, we are still monitoring whether this can be important to happen. Of course, Hull City are set to sign Rangers goalkeeper Zach Butland 33 with a Croat Vora. Heading the opposite direction as part of a swap deal to bring the Englishman back to the Premier League. So we are waiting to see whether this can be possible to happen. Of course, Chelsea have identified Rio Vacano's Spanish actual left back Pepper Cavaria 28 as the main actual man to replace 27-year-old Spanish fullback, that's Marco Corella, who has already crossed over to Real Madrid. They are saying that they wanted the services of Pep to come and replace this guy in the names of Marco Corella, who has already crossed over to Real Madrid. Of course, Team Borussia Dortmund midfielder Felix Mecca 25 is ready to reject a move from Newcastle United to actually, and he prefers a switch to Manchester United. This is according to the bill. Then Bayern Munich winger Michael 24 is aware that several clubs, including Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain, are keeping an eye on his performance for France in the World Cup, and he is saying that he will decide his future after the World Cup. That's Michael Olise for you. We've got a number of clubs have been tracking his services. So, can Team Bayern Munich can be important to convince him and stay at Allianz Arena for a number of seasons? But it looks like Real Madrid are already into the business. It looks like Paris Saint-Germain are already into the business, looking for his service. Even Barcelona at some point talked about his services. Manchester City talked about his services. So it all remains to be seen whether this player in the name of Michael Olise can be a person to stay in that perspective. So my time is up. I need to leave the studio for the next program to come in. I'm out of here. Bye bye for now.